All right, brothers and sisters, we are back. We're at the House of Justice in the village of Harlem for our Saturday Action Rally. And are you ready, brothers and sisters? Are you ready? Are you in the house? All right, let's get ready, brothers and sisters, and let me bring right now our president and founder, a man who has stood long, stood strong, and stood with a vision, the Reverend Dr. Sharpton. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. What do we want? Justice. What do we want? Justice. What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. When do we want it? Now. When do we want it? Now. Hug the person next to you. Tell him you love him. Now, not here at the House of Justice. We understand that we are not free yet. A lot of folk thought they were free when Ken Chenault was elected as the head of American Express. And he got a black face. That's a great thing. When Richard Parsons was selected as the CEO and now chair of Time Warner, a lot of folk thought they were free. When Stanley O'Neill was elected as the head of Merrill Lynch, black man, a lot of folk thought they were free. Of course, Stanley O'Neill is gone. And Richard Parsons is chair, but he will be moving on shortly. Hopefully Ken Chenault can hold on. As long as the stock's performing, he'll be there. That's right. That's right. So that's about economics, but that's another arena. But my higher point is, we've got a long way to go in America until justice is done for all, and specifically for people of color. That's one of the major reasons that we will be having a major call to Americans, black and white and Native American and Latino and Hispanic American and Asian American and East Indian American, to come to Washington on August 23rd to set the tone for the Democratic and Republican conventions. Because, quite frankly, we need to be talking to everybody. You know, in fact, I wish, Reverend Sharpton, I wish that we had truly created an independent party. You know, maybe it's time, I don't want to throw any milk in the equation for many of us who emotionally may be tied to one candidate or another, or one party or another. But I would say that if we truly had an independent party, then maybe we could have a different level of voice. But we've primarily been a two-party scenario. So at some point, we need to talk about that. That's all I'm saying. I'm going to say that because right now, I'm not suggesting to go out and create another party. And, you know, some folk will get mad. I mean, we get mad around political stuff. You're not with my candidate, and I'm mad at you. So it shouldn't be about any of that. It should be about whatever candidate represents the interests of people. That's what it should be about. Whatever candidates represent the interests of our community. That's what it should be about. And that day will come, but we haven't quite gotten there yet. So I want to thank you, and you will be hearing more from Reverend Sharpton and I and a coalition of others about August 23rd, so that we can be in Washington. It is something we cannot afford to miss. Our children are dying every day. We used to live in a society where it was important to build for generations and generations yet unborn. And it's a sad commentary when our children make it just a few years. And now, when I was growing up, kids didn't drop out of school, maybe by and large, until high school. Now we've got kids dropping out before they get to middle school. Something is wrong with that. We know, however, that the journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first steps. Thank you so much. As I was flying from San Diego looking at that front page of Travis, thinking about 9/11, my mind went back, surrendered to 9/11. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was in Brooklyn campaigning for Freddie Ferrer.
Martin, we were running Freddie Ferrer to be mayor that time, and it was a runoff between he and Mark Green. When the planes hit, I was in juniors, even breakfast. I had campaigned all around the Fulton Street subway stations. And I remember when the second plane hit, everybody panicked. We knew something was wrong then. And I tried to get back to Harlem to the old House of Justice, but they closed all the bridges. And they closed all the tunnels. And we couldn't get through nowhere. We drove as far as we could, and you just had to sit there. People were in a daze. Finally, a police officer said to me, well, Rev. Al, we'll let you walk across the bridge, but you can't drive. Your driver got to stay there. Some of us walked on over and got up to the House of Justice. By the time I got there, Barry, there were people that come to the House of Justice everywhere. They didn't know where else to go. We didn't know if there was going to be another attack. Cell phones wouldn't work. And people just felt vulnerable and felt like there was nowhere to turn. For the first time in my life, I didn't even know what to say. I've been preaching since I was 4. I always had words to say. But the first time in my life on 9/11, I couldn't even find the words to say. So, Bishop, I went in my office and sat down and started thinking, what can I say when I don't even know what this is all about? And after about an hour or so, it came to me, a preacher, an old preacher, told me a story once, Lim. He said, you know, Al, I had 2 services to do. One Saturday night, I was going to go to bed early because I had to preach at 8 and 11 service. He said, but I made a mistake. I sat down and started reading a novel. And the more I read, the deeper it got. The more the intrigue of the story got me. I didn't know what to do. I kept reading and looking at the clock, and I kept reading and looking at the clock. It got to midnight, and I said, Lord, what am I going to do? But I couldn't put the book down. Said I kept on reading, and I wanted to find out what the plot of this story was going to bring. Said finally about 1:45 in the morning, he said, I gave up, Al, I cheated. I turned to the end of the book, and I read how the story ended. And the only way I got some rest that night is by cheating, knowing how the story ends. Well, I tell you, Martin, the reason I calmed down a little that afternoon of 9/11 is when I was in my office, I took my Bible out and I cheated. I turned to the end of the book. That's why I ain't worried about no terrorists. I ain't worried about Bin Laden. I ain't worried about the wicked. I cheated. I know how this story's going to end. It may be rough every now and then. We may have a rough patch to travel, but I know how the story going to end. The first will be last, and the last will be first, and the lion and the lamb will lay down together, and God will make a way for his children, and truth crush the earth shall rise again. The wicked will cease from troubling, and the weary shall be at rest. God will make a way for his children. Everybody say,
those can do what they want to do. That's their business. Other civil rights leaders, for various reasons, refuse or can't take a stand or have to go along with the administration. That's their business. But I must say tonight that I know that justice is indivisible. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere.